Go back to the room where the man in yellow finally drops the mask. Elgin finds the old photograph in storage, the one of a girl who should not be older than the town itself, and he brings it to Sophia almost like a joke. Then her face changes, and suddenly this exhausted, gentle young man is locked in a room with the most powerful thing in that entire town. And watch what it does. It does not strike him down. It talks. It explains itself. It tells him in its own words that it can only wear the bodies of people who died here. Then it makes him an offer. Help me, and I send you home. And when Elgin says no, the thing does not simply take what it needs. It asks him again, one more time. Do you accept the bargain? And only when the answer is still no, does it kill him. Sit with how strange that is. The scariest entity in this show, cornered by the one man who could expose it, and its first move is a negotiation. Its last move, before murder, is a question. A god does not ask permission. A god does not make offers. A god does not need a yes. That is not how a god behaves. That is how a player behaves. And keep one small thing in the back of your mind, because we are coming back to it. This is a thing that asks. Hold that word. Asks. Here is the theory in one sentence. The man in yellow is not the exception to the rules of this town. He is the being most trapped by them. Every horrifying thing he does runs on the exact same currency the residents live and die by. Invitation, consent, ritual, cost. He is not breaking the rules of Fromville. He is following them more precisely than anyone. And once you see that, this stops being a story about an unstoppable monster and becomes a story about a rule book. A rule book that has him on a leash just as short as the one it keeps you on. This is not a Season 4 idea. This has been true since the very first time he ever reached for someone. Go back to Sarah. He did not seize her. He did not crawl inside her like a demon in a cheap horror movie. He whispered. He convinced. He made a promise that if she did what he asked, everyone would go free. He needed Sarah to choose to open that clinic door. He needed her to choose to go after the boy. The words even surfaced on her own arm. Kill the boy. An instruction, not a command he could enforce. Every single time the most powerful thing in the town has needed a human being to say yes first. That is not a preference. That is a leash. And I want you to notice who is holding the other end, because it is not him. Now let us open the file, because once you are looking for the pattern, you cannot stop seeing it. Start with the rule he says out loud. He can only take the form of someone who died in this town. Not anyone. Not any corpse. Anywhere. Someone who died here. That is why the original Sophia had to be a trapped resident who died in the township before he could ever wear her. Say that plainly. The most powerful entity in this show cannot even choose its own face. It shops for a face from one specific closet, and the closet is the town's own dead. His disguises come with terms and conditions. That is the rule you can see. Here is the one that should scare you. When he wanted Colony House, he did not tear the doors off their hinges. He put on the Sophia face, walked up to the porch at dusk, and said the creatures frightened her, that she did not want to be alone. And Patrick welcomed her inside. Only then, once he had been let in, could he do his work that night. The most feared thing in the town stood on a doorstep and needed a human hand to hold the door. Sound familiar? It should. That is your rule. That is the first thing anyone learns here. The talisman means nothing if you open the door. The creatures have to be let in. And so does he. He is standing on the same threshold you stand on every night, waiting for the same permission you are taught with your life never to give. And then the show just hands us the law of the universe, straight no metaphor. When he corners Clara, he tells us something that explains the entire series. This place, he says, is built on ritual. And with ritual, how you do something matters as much as what you do. Then he proves it on camera. He does not wave a hand and curse Fatima. He cuts his own palm. He cuts Clara's. He presses the two wounds together. He says, relax, and let me in. Blood, procedure, and a yes, all three, just to poison one woman by proxy. He could not do it directly. He could not do it clean. He had to follow the steps. Because how you do it matters as much as what you do, and that rule does not bend for him either. Watch him raise the dead. same story. To bring Roger back, he does not simply will it. He walks to the barn. He takes a fertilized egg. He whispers an incantation over it, crushes it against the body, tells it it's time to play. And then he has to wait. He can only finish it after nightfall, alone, with a second incantation. Ingredients, words, and the clock. He is bound by the sunrise and the sunset exactly like every resident who ever ran for a door before the bell. The scariest thing in the show still has to wait for it to get dark. Now here is a detail I need you to file away, because it looks like nothing. When he kills, he keeps something. He kept one of Jim's teeth. There is a pouch of human teeth in the glove box of his car. Souvenirs, the most powerful being in the town is a collector. Just hold that. We will need it in a minute, and it is going to hurt. Because now we have to talk about the cost. Knowledge comes with a cost. That is what he tells Jim before he kills him. Not you saw too much. Not I hate you. Knowledge comes with a cost. Jim died because Jim helped. He turned the bottles into music, and the music called the children, and the truth started coming loose. Jim broke the rule that says no one costs you, and so he paid the bill. But think about who else lives under that exact law. Every resident who ever dug too deep. Everyone who found a tunnel, a symbol, a name, and lost something for it. The town charges every single person the same toll for knowing, and the man in yellow does not set that price. He collects it. He is not the tax. He is the tax collector. And the collector answers to the ledger too. So now, the RV. And this is where the theory stops being clever and starts being cruel. He lures Tabitha to the RV. The same RV where he tore Jim's throat open. And everyone expects him to kill her there. In the same spot to close the loop. He does not. Instead he tells her she's the closest thing to a friend he has. He tells her she and Jade are doing so well this time. He tells her he would not dream of killing her at this point. And we know he could. This is the thing that killed her husband one-handed. Physically, she is nothing to him. But he will not. Not because he is kind. Because the rules of the game he is trained to will not let him take a player who is still moving the ritual forward. He needs her to keep playing. Now put it all in one frame and feel it. He is standing in the room where he murdered her husband. He is telling that man's widow that she is his friend. And somewhere on him, in a pocket, is one of Jim's teeth. A keepsake. He is not lying to her. That is the horror of it. In whatever this thing is, that genuinely is friendship. He cannot kill her, so he keeps her, the way he kept the tooth, the way he keeps every face in that closet. That is what mercy looks like from something that is only allowed to obey. Not love, not cruelty. Rules, he is being tendered to her because the rulebook says he must, and it is the most frightening thing he has ever done. So the confirmed part is simple, and it is all on screen. He can only wear the town's dead. He has to be invited in. He works through blood and incantation and the setting sun. He offers bargains and needs them accepted. He charges a cost for knowledge, and he cannot kill a player who is still advancing the ritual. That is not theory. That is just what the show has shown us. Here is the leap. I do not think those are separate quirks. I think that is one rulebook seen from 6 angles. And I do not think he wrote it. Because look who else is bound by the same chain. The boy in white. The good one, supposedly, what can he actually do? He points. He appears. He tells Christopher how to save the children, and then cannot save them himself. He shoves Boy through a tree, whispers that the answers to the end are in the beginning, and vanishes. In the finale, standing in the rubble, the most he can manage is to tell Sophia she's going to lose this time. He cannot stop her. He can only read the score out loud. 2 beings of enormous power, and both of them reduced to the exact same thing. Whispering, guiding, offering, waiting on a human to move. If only the villain were caged, you could call that his weakness, but both of them are caged. Which means the cage was here first. The rules were here before either of them arrived. They are not the authors of this game. They are just the 2 oldest players, still sitting at the board. So who is everyone, if this is true? Line them up. The man in yellow, the player who stopped fighting the rules and learned to use them like a lawyer. The boy in white, bound by the very same chain, trying to win with memory instead of despair. Boyd, the man who keeps trying to break the game with force, and keeps learning that force is the one move that never works here. Tabitha, the piece he is not allowed to take, the friend he keeps a tooth of. Jade, the decoder, the reason the ritual is still moving, which is the only reason any of them are still breathing. Clara, the one who said yes, the cautionary tale of what a bargain actually buys. Sarah, the first yes, the proof the leash was there from the very beginning. Henry, poisoned by an offer disguised as mercy, that none of this is real, wake up, cut the anchor. Victor, the survivor who keeps his own tokens on the other side of the table, drawings instead of teeth, the town's one honest collector. And Elgin, the janitor nobody was watching, who made the single most important move on that entire board, and I will tell you what it was in 1 minute. If this frame is right, Season 5 is checkable. So let me put real stakes down. First, someone beats him not by fighting, but by refusing. A gift declined. A bargain turned down. A question answered wrong on purpose. Second, he gets forced to honour the exact wording of a deal he made, and the residents win a scene by holding him to his own terms. Third, Elgin comes back. And because he died in this town, his face is in the closet now. So when Elgin walks up to Boyd in Season 5, the first question will not be how. It will be, which one are you? And fourth, the ending is not a weapon. It is a contradiction. They do not kill him. They catch him breaking his own rule. And here is the falsifiable test, so I will state it plainly. This whole theory lives or dies on him being bound. If Season 5 shows the man in yellow lie freely, break a bargain he swore, take a body that never said yes, or murder a player who is playing well for nothing but boredom, then this is wrong. Not adjusted. Wrong, he will just be a monster after all. But if the final season turns on one promise, one exact clause, one moment where an ordinary human being looks at the most powerful thing in that town and says the 4 words every rule follower dreads, that was not the deal. Then he was never a god. He was a player the whole time. Which leaves the one question I cannot close, the one I told you to hold at the very start. If he has to ask, if both of them have to ask, and neither of them wrote the rules that forced the asking, then who did? Something drew that board. Something decided the dead can be worn, and the door must be opened, and knowledge has to be paid for, and a good player cannot be removed. Something older than the man in yellow and the boy in white, still sitting quiet under that town, holding the other end of every leash. And it has not spoken yet. Sit with that one. So go back to Elgin. Back to that locked room, and the offer and the question asked one final time. We watched that scene and saw a man die. But I think we watched the whole show explain itself and looked away at the wrong second. The way out of Fromville was never going to be a bigger gun or a stronger stone. Elgin already showed us the only move that ever cost the enemy anything. An exhausted, ordinary man, staring down the most powerful thing in that world, refusing to fight it and simply saying no. And it cost him. Whatever the man in yellow needed Elgin for, he did not get it. A piece refused to be moved off its square. That is the whole game, right there in a man most of the town never even learned to name. So the next time he smiles, do not ask how strong he is. Ask what rule he is obeying. Because the scariest thing in that town is not the one who breaks the rules. It is the one who follows them perfectly, and is counting on you never realising that you can pick up the rule book too. If this changed how you are going to watch him, subscribe, because when the final season starts, we are going to be reading that rule book line by line, right alongside them.